Hey y'all, Irix Guy here, back again with another Timepieces for Tomorrow video. And I want to talk about why there's a Rolex shortage. And this is at least my opinion. So if you go into any authorized dealer, you're probably not going to see anything on the shelves. If there's anything, you may find a 36 millimeter date just. And that's probably about it. And why is there a Rolex shortage? So these are my opinions. Again, comment below, tell me what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why do you think there's a Rolex shortage? So, first of all, arguably the most iconic wristwatch in the world, actually this one right here, the No Date, or you just call it the Submariner, you don't call it the No Date, but arguably the most iconic wristwatch in the world. These you're probably not going to find in an authorized dealer. Probably not at all, and this is the previous reference. So, the shortage, in my opinion, and this is my take, again, you're subject to your opinion, and I respect everyone's opinions, and can't wait to read your comments down below. But this little thing right here with the blue bezel, I think this is the root cause of the Rolex shortage. So what is this? Oh, it's not a Rolex. But wait a minute, it looks like a Rolex. What is it? It's a Tudor. It's a Tudor. And so basically what's happening is that many, or actually most all of the Rolex authorized dealers, most of them also sell Tudor. So Tudor is owned by the Hans Willdorf Foundation, which also owns Rolex. So what are they doing? Well, they've created a series of timepieces, and the value of these is on an upward trend, just like Rolex. But these are still easily accessible. You go into most any authorized dealer that sells Rolex and Tudor, you're probably going to find an abundance of Tudors. They're more affordable, at least currently. They look very similar. The quality of the bracelet, the quality of the finishing is very, very similar to Rolex. The case proportions, in the case of this is the Black Bay 58, which is a 39 millimeter. It feels really good on the wrist. One of my most comfortable wristwatches. So whether you've got a large wrist or a small wrist, you know, this is a great option. And it's only got a 60 click bezel instead of 120, but it sounds really good. And what's happening is the authorized dealers are wanting to increase the sales of their Tudors for a couple reasons. Number one, this is a more accessible price point. So it's easier to sell to a larger customer base. Number two, this is kind of a gateway brand. Well, if you can't find Rolex, well, what are you going to get? Okay, you want Rolex quality, but you know, maybe you would want to spend for the Rolex, there's just nothing there, so you end up buying a Tudor. And honestly, when you buy the Tudor, if you're like me, you're probably going to like it just as much as you do the Rolex. You know, they're very similar. They're very, I mean, just looking at the bracelets, the finishing, everything, I mean, it's immediately obvious that these are made by the same company. Now, technically, they're both owned by the Hans Willdorf Foundation, but, you know, they're manufactured in separate facilities. But yeah, so they're authorized dealers are trying to push sales of Tudor, and it's easy to do because they're accessible, they're less expensive, and they look nice. They wear great. And I mean, it's a no-brainer. So in other words, the shortage is because they're pushing Tudor. And then also, think about that, as the shortage continues, the popularity of Tudor increases because more people are buying Tudors. There's more Tudors on the market. Then Rolex is perceived as even being in shorter supply. Therefore, the price and the prestige of the Rolex continues to rise. So then Rolex could reintroduce a flood of new Rolex references to their authorized dealers, and they could do so at a higher price point because people now, if they're buying, you know, Rolexes, they're buying them on the gray market and they're paying a premium over MSRP, which is ridiculous. I mean, I'd never do that. But buyers have become accustomed to the inflated prices. So even if Rolex introduces the, reintroduces the newer Rolexes at a higher price, it's still going to seem more affordable than what people have grown accustomed to with the gray market prices. So it's actually a brilliant strategy. And again, I'm not accusing anybody of doing this. I mean, this is just speculation. But to me, it makes sense. I mean, if you want to sell a new product line at a lower price point that the quality is almost as good as a Rolex, what a better way to do it than to just have no Rolexes available. You go in and it's like, okay, well, maybe you want to check out a Tudor. Hey, maybe you want to buy a couple of Tudors. Think about that. You could probably buy a few of these for what one of the Rolex references would cost. So from a sales perspective, it's easy for the sales team to push a Tudor when there's easier to push a Tudor when there's no Rolexes in the house. Now there's a lot of other options on the market available. Panerai makes wonderful timepieces that are rock solid, but if you've got that Rolex bug, then you're probably only wanting Rolex, and what better alternative than the Tudor? So this makes sense to me, and there's a lot of stories, and again, comment below, tell me your stories. Why do you feel that Rolex is in short supply? Because this is just my opinion, and again, I'm not accusing anyone or any organization of anything. I'm just sharing my speculative opinions. But see, look at that. It's almost like this dude, there's these two right here, and it's like this one went to Harvard on the highway, and then this dude went to Harvard. They're very similar, but the Rolex is just more polished. So you got the Harvard graduate, and you got the Harvard on the highway graduate. Harvard Community College. Yep. So, they're both great. But again, the Tudors, at least the current reference Tudors, they have a more vintage look, which is appealing to a lot of people. So, Rolex really has this plan, in my opinion, is coming together. Because prior to the last few years, really all you saw from Tudor, except for the really old vintage Tudors, were, some wristwatches that even if they were giving them away, it would be hard to open your hands and ask for one. But that's not the case anymore. These are very high quality, vintage looking pieces that have modern components. This has a 72-hour power reserve in it. So, they're really putting awesome technology in the current reference Tudors. So I'm convinced, I am without a doubt convinced that's why there's a Rolex shortage. But, again, I want to hear what y'all want to say. And, by the way, tune in to Timepieces for Tomorrow, one of my live shows. I'm going to start doing Timepieces for Tomorrow live shows at least once a week. A great way to tune in, talk about wristwatches. If you want to join, you can choose to Skype. I'll post a Skype link during those live shows, and you can tune in that way. So, yeah. Tudor. Woohoo. I like Tudor. And I like Rolex too, but it's just they're different animals, man. But they're from that same dude, that Hans Wildorf guy. He's like, man, his vision, not to misquote him, but it was that he was going to create a more affordable Rolex, and that's why he created Tudor. But in the beginning, they executed poorly. Well, in the beginning, they actually did okay because they had the Tudor Submariner. But then they started releasing all that, I'll just call it like it is, garbage. And now they're releasing quality pieces. They have been, ever since they introduced the Black Bay, Tudor's been releasing really high-quality pieces, in my opinion. So that's it. That's why I think there is a shortage of Rolex watches. Tell me what you think within the comment section below. And be sure to subscribe and ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. And stay tuned for a ton more Timepieces for Tomorrow videos here soon. Y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, Captain Irix Guy here. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to subscribe. It's youtube.com/Irix Guy. And ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.